Hi, everyone. What a great day and what a cool venue. This is so Pittsburgh. Steelworker by day, exotic dancer by night, with big dreams to become a ballet dancer. Alex Owens from the blockbuster Flashdance. I guess I'm not unique, but it was through the eyes of Alex Owens I first was presented to this great city. I was 8 years old when it came out, and it has followed me ever since. Not because of the plot, I must say, but because of the streets of Pittsburgh, the ambience, the roughness, the dynamic feel of the city. I know, this is cheesy, especially for you ginsers. Anyway, I really like Pittsburgh. 10 years ago, I had the privilege to come here for the first time, and of course, I couldn't miss the Andy Warhol Museum, Carnegie Mellon University, wow. Now being back as the CEO of the Stockholm Chamber of Commerce, one of the oldest and leading business organizations in Sweden. Meeting all of you, it's an honor. I'm intrigued by the journey that Pittsburgh has been on since my last visit, and I'm even more curious about where you're headed in the years to come. But before we talk more about that, before we talk more about you, I want to talk about me. Stockholm is one of the greatest cities on earth. Okay, I know that every one of you is thinking, everybody says that about their hometown. Well, maybe, but in this case, it really is. Green, clean, and cool. That's Stockholm. Modern, but with a history that goes back to the 13th century or even beyond, to the era of the Vikings. Urban, but hop on one of the many boats at one of the waterfronts in Stockholm, and the archipelago is just minutes away. We're about 1 million people in the city and 2.2 in the county, and we're growing. Stockholm is the fastest growing capital in the European Union at the time. What is key to this success? Talented people flourish in Stockholm. Headquarters of multinationals flourish in Stockholm. Startups flourish in Stockholm. Not just Spotify, but also the companies behind Minecraft and Candy Crush Saga, just to mention a few. When I flew in from Newark yesterday, I could see 2 people from where I was seated, and these 2 people were playing Candy Crush Saga. Stockholm is home to the second strongest IT cluster per capita in the world after Silicon Valley. And if you ask me, that is nothing less than sensational. A dense urban environment drives innovation. And that's true for Pittsburgh and for Stockholm and for all other places in the world. A dense city combines and connects labor and capital, and not the least, ideas. And Stockholm has become a factory of ideas. As you all know, when people meet, like we do here today, things happen. And when people interact, even more things happen. And things have happened for sure in Stockholm. The Chamber of Commerce has been a front runner. And I dare to say that we are not like most other chambers. We don't focus primarily on taxes. Taxes don't build success. People do. Let me give you a few examples of ideas that we have had and been able to realize together with others. First, the Stockholm Subway. I love the subway. It's a universe of its own down there. And the subway system allows large amount of people to travel in a very efficient way without disturbing any other traffic systems. No wonder it's the most popular means of transportation in Stockholm. Every weekday, 4 Pittsburghs travel in the subway system. And it was established back in the 50s, and for many years it expanded alongside our growing population. But then expansion stopped, but the population kept growing. And today we're 1/3 more than we were in 1985, but we're relying on the same subway system. To me, that's beyond comprehension. So my organization has done quite its share of campaigning and lobbying over the years, and in 2013 we had a breakthrough, and the politicians struck a deal to expand the subway system with 9 new subway stations, and with that comes massive opportunities for new housing, which we badly need. As I said, Stockholm is one of the fastest growing cities in Europe. And you can't grow on an empty stomach, which brings me to my second example, the food truck invasion. Every city with self-respect needs and has great street food. And here in the US, of course, you clearly understood this way back. But in Stockholm, it was not until recently that we discovered the wonders of the taco truck. High-quality street food was not a common sight in Stockholm until just a few years ago. At the Stockholm Chamber of Commerce, we partnered with a small street food network and introduced our local government to the concept of food truck and also the need for appropriate permits. A simple idea. Simple, yet it led to more businesses, which means more jobs and also more good food. Starting a street food business it's easier than starting a cafe or a restaurant, so it lowers the thresholds for entering the market as an entrepreneur. And up until now, in only a few years, the food truck invasion has led to 800 new jobs in Stockholm. On to another burning issue, culture. More museums and more private museums. It's as easy as this. Great cities need great culture to attract great people. Take the Underworld Museum here, for instance. It's a good example of making Pittsburgh more interesting and more culturally rewarding. And there are many more examples in this one of the cultural capitals in the US. During the last decade, we have witnessed the establishment of 8 new private museums in Stockholm, like ABBA the Museum, the Photographic Museum, and the wonderful modern art gallery Artipelag, an amazing art hall out in the archipelago. It was created by the man who invented Baby Bjorn, you know, the baby carrier. And those are just a few examples. What I want to say is that Stockholm has become a startup hub also for culture and creative businesses. Moving on to my last example, where the Chamber of Commerce has been a driving force in recent development. This one is about embracing the digital revolution, a revolution that is spinning faster and faster. Do you know what the single most common profession in Stockholm is these days? Computer programmer. If Latin was the universal language you simply had to master in ancient Europe, and English the language of the first wave of globalization, What is the universal language of today's global modern economy? Programming. In February, I presented, together with the mayor of Stockholm and one of the two founders of Spotify, a project on programming in schools. This fall, children in Stockholm schools will start learning the most universal language in the world. They will have programming on their school curriculum. So what can Pittsburgh learn from us? What does Pittsburgh have to build on? Well, there is no stronger foundation than steel, right? About a month ago, I visited South by Southwest Interactive Festival in Austin, Texas, and I had the opportunity to listen to AOL co-founder Steve Case. He visited this town last summer, and you seem to have made quite an impression on him because he was so excited when he talked about Pittsburgh. He made references to your long history and compared Pittsburgh to Silicon Valley. He said that Pittsburgh powered the Industrial Revolution. It was Silicon Valley of its time. And of course, he complimented Carnegie Mellon, who wouldn't. The interesting thing with Pittsburgh these days seems to be that you're really up and coming, promising, full of life, full of hope and ambitions. But you're also quite too humble, not really making a big fuss about what's going on. We will talk a lot about sustainability these days. Our Stockholm experience has taught us that to achieve true sustainability, we have to see it as not only an environmental issue. In the future, there simply will be no place for growth unless it's sustainable and inclusive. Economic, social, environmental needs must be simultaneously addressed. The burning question now is, how do we plan and act and go ahead? For me, better conditions for entrepreneurship and innovation are key in achieving sustainability. I'm happy to see that you are onto this here in Pittsburgh. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to share some of our experiences with you, what we have achieved so far as inspiration, so that you can continue to build on all the things you already have to make Pittsburgh an even more fantastic place. So here goes, Mayor Peduto from Stockholm with love. 3 concrete pieces of advice. My first point, brag. Lift your heads high. Let the rest of the US, let the rest of the world, let the rest of us, let us know about your journey, what you come from, where you come from, what you have become, and where you want to be in the future. Brag about your entrepreneurs, your experiences, your knowledge. Brag about the steps you have taken and are about to take to truly compete in a sustainable way with other great cities. Second, establish more creative clusters. Make sure that you do all you can do to make it easier for entrepreneurs to take the next steps and make their ideas come true here. And third, and this is really important, embrace urbanization. For Pittsburgh to continue to develop in a sustainable and inclusive way and to become truly sustainable, a city that welcomes people and business, urbanization is absolutely key. I'm talking about smart urbanization, taking advantage of new technology in order to build a dense and dynamic city. New infrastructure, including public transit, that makes it easy to commute. Residential areas that are connected so that people can easily interact with one another, where they can exchange ideas, break social patterns, and meet people with other ways of living. we have to embrace all of this. Act and plan ahead. It's the only way for Pittsburgh, Stockholm, and all other great places to reach our full potential. Thank you.
So, Maria, why are you so excited about Pittsburgh? I saw your speech before, and I was amazed that you had so much insight already, and you were so keen to get out here and get going. How did you get to know the story? What's the deal? Have you always been interested in the Steel City, now the Code City? What's the...
You know, look at this room. Look out of the window. I think, you know, as a person who loves cities, it's a passion of mine. It's really a city. It is urban. And what struck me yesterday night when I was talking to someone at the reception, I asked about how many people actually live downtown in this cool downtown area, and it was like almost nobody. 4,500 people or so.
Yeah.
That's nothing. And actually, you know, if you want to become sustainable, then you have to move closer together.
Do you think that the Stockholm business community can find a way to kind of join in the conversation here? And conversely, do you think there's a way for whichever industry and cultural actors to come out and be active in Sweden? Because it's a pretty closed shop in Sweden, as I have learned.
Yeah, I guess the simple answer is yes, of course.
Right.
You know, if we create the human connections, then, as I said, things will happen. So
right.
I guess this is the beginning of hopefully a beautiful friendship.
So Maria is signing up to bring the Swedish business community here. Thanks, Maria.
Thanks.